The United States is pulling its imperial power out of it, turning it into a tool for the bankers. Thus, the bankers are rethinking the U.S. empire in order to essentially build this new economic system that we get glimpses of in recent years, rather than using tactics like buying off U.S. politicians and influencing the U.S. empire to achieve their goals. Like digital ID and all that, the concept of programmable, surveillable money and the idea of a voluntary carbon market aim to keep things simple and unobtrusive. United States imperial ties run deep within the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank. Even the United States military has acknowledged in papers made public by WikiLeaks that these organizations are financial weapons used by the United States, the International Monetary Fund, and the World Bank. Whitney Webb, an investigative journalist, has lately warned the public about Wall Street and BlackRock, drawing attention to the creation of a new programmable currency system. Authorities and elites are meant to have complete control and direction over this system. Webb, a journalist and scholar, spoke up on the Jimmy Dore show on her worries about the plans of the ruling class for the common people. Under the pretense of environmental protection, these elites want to acquire control of all assets and implement carbon credits, as stated by Webb. But according to her, this is only the start, and there are much more intricate and intrusive schemes in the works. Please see the video until its conclusion. Whitney Webb investigates these disturbing trends in further detail, looking at what they might mean for our independence, privacy, and freedom. Think about giving the channel a subscribe. Or giving the video a like if you like videos about money. There's no risk because you can always back out at a later time. Both liberals and conservatives have voiced their disapproval. Further revelations have come from even the most prominent news outlets. Mark Carney and Mike Bloomberg, who the United Nations for whatever reason deemed to be the most qualified individuals to rescue the Earth, formed the Glasgow Financial Alliance for Net Zero. They oversee the United Nations climate funds. Mike Bloomberg, a billionaire from Salomon Brothers, the New York mayor who instituted stop and frisk policies, and Mark Carney, a former official at Goldman Sachs and the Bank of England and Bank of Canada, are all people involved. The UN's environmental savior is that guy. For example, if you believe that they are the ones rethinking this, the World Bank, Google, and other players in the carbon market are creating climate wallets as part of the larger system of multilateral development banks. It's supposed to function on the Chia network, which is the brainchild of the man behind BitTorrent in his latest venture. The network has professed to be something akin to a net zero blockchain. People should join the carbon market in the future, essentially. Also, the concept of humans being able to make money off of the environment. Carbon markets and carbon credits are also experiencing a period of intense activity. Also, the law is somewhat ambiguous in this area, and it worries me greatly because of the much discussed but mostly unexplored concept of carbon rights, wherein the purchaser of a carbon credit can acquire legal title to the carbon stored in the forest that the credit symbolizes. Would you agree with that? Yes, this jungle in Colombia is like a carbon credit that I purchase. What happens to the carbon stored in those trees is now up to me, since I may be the owner of that carbon. Colombians are a good analogy for the landowners. They may no longer have legal title to it, you know. I believe this is paving the way for some land grabs in the global south, because it's like this hazy gray region. The carbon market is seeing a great deal of really troubling activity. Even when considering the possibility of lowering CO2 levels and everything, in its current form, the carbon market just hasn't achieved that. Both liberals and conservatives have voiced their disapproval. On top of that, it has been repeatedly shown even by mainstream media outlets that as much as 90% of all carbon credits currently available are totally useless. In essence, it's reminiscent of the 1980s junk bond crisis. Once more, interestingly, Richard Sander, who worked at the 1980s junk bond scandal firm Drexel Burnham Lambert, is the one who established carbon markets and carbon credit trading. He served as a senior vice president until the Bush administration hired him to implement free market principles in the EPA under George W. Bush's presidency. Then Maurice Strong, a member of the Rockefeller oligarch group at the United Nations, approached him to find a similar solution for carbon. Derivatives of financial futures, which he also helped create, were a major factor in the financial crisis of 2008. He also wants to create a market for free air and water, so you may, and he's the one who came up with carbon credit trading, so you could. You're also essentially hit with taxes on that. I believe that more Latin American countries that are experiencing economic instability will seek out dollar-denominated stable coins, such as Tether USDT or Circle's USDC. This is already happening in Argentina, for instance, where the peso has been severely devalued even under Malay rule, and people are fleeing to dollars. This one network is very closely associated with the satellite company mentioned earlier, and it pretty much controls the entire crypto environment in Argentina. They are all associated with a group named Endeavor. Endeavor has a branch in Argentina, among many others around the globe. The United States is their base of operations. Edgar Bronfman Jr. of the Bronfman family chairs their board. If you've read my books, you know that this family has deep ties to organized crime and is essentially Justin Trudeau's backbone. Along with that, they have Reid Hoffman on their board. Hoffman is not only the co-founder of LinkedIn, but he was also a member of the PayPal Mafia and likely the closest Silicon Valley insider. Members of the quote-unquote PayPal Mafia are strongly in favor of Trump, while Reid Hoffman is a major donor to Democratic charities and the Democrats generally. For instance, Trump's transition. The team was heavily influenced by Peter Thiel, who had close ties to both Trump and Palantir. Essentially oversaw all of the initial policy choices and nominations made by Trump's Defense Department. The PayPal Mafia and Trump continue to have many ties, in my opinion. Plus, there are popular figures like Elon Musk who identify as libertarians and lean towards the right populist side. That being said, I really doubt that this specific members of this network appear to have a dual loyalty, which is, to be honest, the way to go if you're after a steady stream of rich contracts from the government. I believe it's quite obvious that there are some attempts to push people in a specific path, but honestly, it's hard to tell where we will end up. Thus, I believe it has been obvious for quite some time. A digital ID system is being pushed for everyone, as you are probably already aware. This included vaccine passports used during the COVID pandemic. A lot of people have been advocating for it nevertheless. Take WorldCoin as an example. Scan your eyeball, Sam Altman, to acquire a one-of-a-kind digital ID in a wallet where you can store tokens. People in developing countries are being offered financial incentives to provide biometric data to the man running OpenAI, who has ties to Microsoft and other companies. There are digital ID-like programs that are regularly piloted with vulnerable stateless individuals. The end goal is to implement it worldwide and connect it to a digital wallet that allows for programmable and trackable money. Much discussion has focused on the digital currency produced by the Central Bank of China, CBDC, but private sector Wall Street banks will also issue digital currencies that are just as programmable and surveillable, and nobody seems to be talking about that. As a result of the destruction of their money, the people of Argentina are quickly adopting one of the stable currencies that I discussed previously. More only lately, Tether welcomed the Federal Bureau of Investigations and the United States Secret Service as users of its platform. So, in essence, American intelligence is keeping tabs on everyone who uses Tether. This public-private cooperation includes the very same players, the Federal Bureau of Investigations and the Secret Service, included in the World Economic Forum's compound. Pretty much all of the major banks and PayPal are involved, along with intelligence agencies from the United States, Israel, and the United Kingdom. They intend to eliminate financial and online anonymity simultaneously. As a result, there have been massive enforcement efforts and unprecedented crackdowns on financial privacy technologies, whether they be for cryptocurrencies or traditional transactions, from all over the web in an effort to link your official government ID to your online operations. Whatever it is, it's probably your social media profile. That being said, the end goal is to build a biometric-based system that can be easily programmed and monitored by the government or anybody else with enough funding. The programming ensures that the funds can only be used for the specified purposes. You are limited to sending it to those they specifically authorize and using it for specific purposes. And getting everyone on board with that is the ultimate objective. Plus, the product is always piloted in the global south before anywhere else. What this essay is about, then, is an attempt to summarize a large portion of Latin America. By centering on these types of institutions at the subnational or even local level, claiming that decarbonization is an urgent matter was the cover. Truly, though, in the program's fine print, you could state that